Will AI be the #1 reason you lose your job by this coming May?
Just think about that for a second. I mean, we are constantly hearing all this chatter about the shifting landscape of employment, right? But we rarely, if ever, get hard, quantified probabilities.
But what if you could literally bet on your own layoff and win? Like, what if you could financially hedge against the exact technology that's threatening your livelihood? Well, let's dive into this explainer, because today we are looking at the raw mathematical reality of our future, straight from the hard data.
Okay, let's start with predicting AI job cuts, getting inside the oracle. So we're pulling these insights from a totally fascinating conversation with Luana Lopes Lara. If you don't know her, she is an immigrant founder, famously recognized as the youngest self-made billionaire, and she's the co-founder of Kalshi. Now, Kalshi is a prediction market where people put real money on the line to forecast events that haven't actually happened yet. And check out this number, a $22 billion valuation. That brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale we are talking about here. This is not some niche little experiment. This is a massive institutional-grade oracle where the actual forces of supply and demand are used to predict reality. And what they are predicting right now about AI, it's honestly striking.
What's really wild is this exact figure right here. There is currently a 73% probability that AI will be the #1 reason for job cuts in May. And to be clear, this is not just some random survey of public opinion. This is a heavily calibrated number backed by 30,000 in market volume. Plus, as Luana points out, the 73% probability was also the truth for March and April. So the market is establishing a very clear, completely undeniable trend.
But you know what? It gets much darker and a whole lot more specific. The market is actively trading on something called the Katrini scenario. Essentially, this is a doomsday scenario for AI. It is strictly defined by 5 very specific conditions regarding unemployment levels. If just 3 out of those 5 conditions actually hit, the market pays out to yes. And the current odds for this doomsday scenario? They're sitting right between 26 and 30%. Keep in mind, this market trades millions of dollars. People are putting serious, heavy capital on a nearly 1 in 3 chance of severe, AI-driven economic disruption.
All right, moving on to hedging real-world risks, essentially using this as financial insurance against reality.
So the absolutely crucial point here is, what do you actually do with all this information? Well, you hedge. We're shifting from a world where prediction markets are just used for speculation to a world where they act as literal financial insurance against reality. Everyday businesses and individuals are starting to use these markets to protect themselves. Let's look at a real-world non-AI example to show how this works. There's an Upper East Side bar in New York City that recently ran a promotion. They offered to cover every single customer's entire tab if the Knicks won a specific game. Obviously, that created a massive $10,000 to $20,000 liability for a small business. So to protect themselves, what did they do? They simply went on to Kalshi and bought a hedge against a Knicks win. If the Knicks won, sure, the bar paid out the tabs, but they won their Kalshi bet, which perfectly offset their losses. You can apply this exact same logic to your own job security against AI.
But here's the thing. You don't even have to trade to get immense value out of this. Exactly 70% of Kalshi users are pure information consumers. Think about that. They don't place a single trade. They just log on every morning to digest the highly calibrated data just to understand what is actually going to happen in the economy, in politics, and in tech. It completely strips away the bias of traditional news outlets.
Which brings us to our next section, the truth in probabilities, looking at market calibration versus public opinion.
This represents a massive paradigm shift in how we consume information. We have got to separate media noise from market calibration. You see, the media deals in absolutes, right? But prediction markets, they deal in hard probabilities. And this completely shuts down a super common misunderstanding. For instance, when analyzing the papal conclave, Kalshi had the odds of an American pope at just 1%. When an American wasn't chosen, the public perception and the massive media narrative was, oh, the prediction market was totally wrong. But mathematical reality dictates otherwise. The market predicted a 1% chance. And hey, 1 is not 0. A low probability event not happening literally means the market was perfectly calibrated, especially in a completely closed information system like a conclave.
So you're probably wondering, what does it actually take to get that extreme level of calibration? Well, it depends on the timeline. For a political market expiring just 1 week out, you only need $1,000 to $3,000 in trading volume for the prediction to become extremely accurate. But if you're trying to predict an election 6 months out, you need tens of thousands of dollars, specifically $10,000 or more, to force that level of accuracy. The whole system requires literal skin in the game to synthesize the truth.
Let's pivot a bit to scaling with AI agents and Kalshi's extreme internal operations. Now, running a $22 billion Oracle obviously requires massive operational scale. But how Luana scales Kalshi internally is honestly just as fascinating as the markets they host. They are ruthlessly leveraging AI agents to multiply their output. Get this, Kalshi operates with a headcount of exactly 170 employees. That is incredibly lean for their valuation and transaction volume. Luana explicitly hires for low-ego individuals who are willing to completely abandon how they used to work entirely in favor of aggressive AI automation.
And here are the hardcore operational metrics of what that looks like in practice. Kalshi engineers don't just sit around and code. They deploy up to 20 individual cloud agents each to automate their workflows. It's wild. Luana also relies on an automated Sunday system that tracks company-wide metrics, instantly flagging exactly who overpromised and underdelivered. They're actively embedding engineers directly into the legal and design departments just to build custom AI workflows. In fact, if you interview for a design or legal role at Kalshi right now today, you are actively evaluated on your AI utilization.
Because of this AI-first infrastructure, they are able to ship massive new financial products without bloating that headcount. For example, they just launched Perpetual Futures, or PERPs. Basically, this allows users to express a long or short opinion on really complex topics, like betting on or against AI superintelligence with zero end date. You just hold the position for as long as you want. And they built and launched this entirely new asset class super efficiently, strictly because their AI tooling eliminated the need to hire any extra staff.
All right, let's bring it all together for our core review and takeaways, the hard facts. Okay, so we have covered a massive amount of quantified data today. Let's aggressively recap the hard facts we've extracted directly from this explainer. Lock these in. Kalshi sits at a $22 billion valuation. The market currently prices a 73% probability of AI-driven job cuts, and that's backed by 30,000 in volume. That 5-condition Katrini AI doomsday scenario, it's trading at 26 to 30% odds. We also saw that $10,000 to $20,000 bar promotion effectively hedged against a Knicks win. Remember, exactly 70% of the platform's users solely consume data without ever trading. A 1% Pope Conclave prediction was proven to be mathematically perfectly calibrated. You really only need $1,000 to $3,000 in volume for extreme one-week political accuracy. And internally, a super lean team of just 170 employees is running this entire operation by leveraging up to 20 cloud agents each.
So if you take away just one thing today, let it be this. Prediction markets incentivize truth by forcing people to literally put their money where their mouth is, offering a fiercely more calibrated reality than public opinion or whatever media narratives are floating around. Now, I really want to hear your stance on this. Regarding Kalshi's prediction markets for AI layoffs, where you can actively bet on the disruption of your own industry, do you think it's a genius design for hedging your career risk, or is it a massive trap? And what is your exact reason for thinking that? I want you to take a hard stance on this right now. Drop your answer down below. Leave a comment with your stance, and when you do, we'll send you today's complete tool list and the full mind map of everything we just covered. So go ahead, do it now, and I will see you in the comments.